Wow, so some big news for this weekend's Chinese Grand Prix was revealed earlier today, and that's the fact that Lewis Hamilton, driver of the Mercedes, second place in the championship car, has a 5-place grid penalty after having to change his gearbox in his car, which obviously down the line it will happen to probably most people on the grid, but you just have that feeling that Nico Rosberg, he has that momentum anyway, that momentum of 2 race wins in a row on the bounce in 2016, and then I think was it 3 or 4 at the end of 2015. He's had a really good run of races recently. He's had 5 or 6 race wins in a row, which is pretty incredible. And this grid penalty for Hamilton, we assumed that Hamilton or Rosberg would be on pole position. We'll see, obviously, in a few days' time, but we assume one of those two would have been on pole, but this now means that Lewis Hamilton's obviously going to be dropping down the grid a little bit, and Rosberg is going to have a bit of a buffer, assuming he gets, he either gets first position himself or inherits first position thanks to Hamilton's grid penalty. So we assume Rosberg is going to have a few cars in between him before the start of the Grand Prix this weekend, and that's going to help him out massively. Obviously, as well, we're going to have to take into account the starts of the Ferrari, which could hamper Rosberg if he has a bad start himself. But if Rosberg has a good start, honestly, I can just see him running away with this race and not being caught. I mean, even if Hamilton is faster, he's still going to have to battle through a bit of traffic at the start of the race. There's going to be a few cars in between him. I mean, even if he gets literally a perfect start, I still can't see him being in the first 2 positions going down to turn 1, and obviously you'd assume he'd need to be in the first 2 positions to be right up behind Rosberg, considering he gets a good start. But it's probably best that maybe Hamilton takes this penalty now. I mean, if he takes this grid penalty now, gets that gearbox changed, and obviously that's for the better. It obviously will help the reliability of the car. I'm assuming that is the reason for that, obviously. But we also got to remember that all of these parts on the Formula 1 cars now are limited to a certain amount. Is it 5 or 6? You can have a certain each part. So, you've got to be careful, obviously. Only 2 Grand Prix on 1 gearbox obviously isn't too great for Hamilton, but it's just the way it is. And unfortunately for Hamilton, this is going to be another race where, assuming everything just goes like a normal race, you'd assume he'd lose points on Rosberg, but I suppose it might not be the case, to be perfectly honest. I mean, maybe if Rosberg's out front just chilling, he hasn't got any pressure, sometimes that's bad, obviously, because you don't have the pressure from behind and you're not maybe giving it your 100%, in terms of concentration and all that. But who knows? I mean, I'm looking forward to this Chinese Grand Prix. This grid penalty should add a little bit to the mix, obviously. Expecting Hamilton to fight through the field and probably still be first or second by the end of this race, depending on how fast the Ferraris are. But overall, looking forward to the Chinese Grand Prix. But something else I do want to mention in this video is Romain Grosjean in the press conference yesterday. As you watch this video, he's talking about a lot of people being jealous of Haas, obviously, after the sort of relationship between Haas and Ferrari. Obviously, Ferrari massively helping Haas on the last season, obviously, when Haas weren't in Formula 1, massively helping develop the car and all these pointers and everything. And Grosjean basically just slamming everyone who's getting frustrated at them, just by saying they're jealous. They wish that they could have been in the same situation as us. And in my opinion, he's perfectly right to be saying that, because, let's be honest, it was a massive step for Grosjean to go to a team which could well have at least been, last place on the grid each race. But they've developed well, they've had brilliant insight, they've got a nice backing as well, and I honestly feel happy for the guys at Haas. Everyone working there deserves it, because obviously they took the risk, and there are big people working in that team that went from bigger teams, in quotations bigger teams, and they went to Haas for what they expected to be a challenge, but it's actually worked out quite well for them. I mean, let's not jump too quickly to conclusions, but the Haas looks pretty decent so far this year, and I'm really happy for them, because let's be honest, they've put in a lot of hard work, they've brought the budget, they've done it properly. This is what F1 needs, is F1 teams coming in, doing it properly, like Force India did, in my opinion. Do it properly, bring the budget, get everything sorted before you come to Formula 1, then just sort out your drivers, and then that's all good. But, teams like Marussia, what is it, Lotus, and, what was it? what was that last one? HRT. There you go. A bit of a mind blank. Yeah, they didn't quite do F1 properly, so I'm happy that Haas did it, and it's really good to see them come into Formula 1 and do a decent job. But yeah, thanks for watching this video, guys. It's been Axe, and I'm out of here. Goodbye.